Welcome to 30-Minute Reviews. I am Adam. Now we're going to depart from the previous 5 episodes format, and we're going to be discussing 2 movies and why one of them is going to win Best Animated Picture. If you've listened to this, to beware of spoilers, you know how much I loved Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. That movie, I think, should have been nominated for Best Picture instead of Black Panther, because the movie functionally is the same thing for a cultural impact, and it's so much better made, and the visual effects are so much better. But we'll talk about Black Panther tomorrow. Today we have Into the Spider-Verse and The Incredibles 2. Now, The Incredibles 2 is the other movie that's being kicked around as a Best Animated Picture contender. There's also Wreck-It Ralph 2. I haven't seen Wreck-It Ralph 2. I haven't seen Wreck-It Ralph. Nothing about Wreck-It Ralph really makes me interested in seeing it. The trailers didn't quite get me and try and get me to, go and see it. But granted, I'm not the target audience. Incredibles 2 I was ready for when they announced it, because The Incredibles is, to this day, one of my favorite superhero movies. Here's what I think the problem is. When you wait this long to do a sequel, I think functionally it's better to have, to pick up in real time, where it's a real-time time jump. And I think that that's where this movie really hurts itself, is that it picks up immediately after The Incredibles, where I think that a better use of this sequel, and I don't like criticizing movies because I would have done it differently, or maybe they can do this as a third Incredibles, but one of the things that I've noticed about when you watch these movies, both 1 and 2, is that they kind of set up a lot of the time. I don't know if they do it on purpose or if it's meant for foreshadowing, or if it's just meant to create a mirror effect. Dash has a lot of thought processes and things like that in common with Syndrome, where it's like, especially in the first movie, it's the most clearly pronounced, where it's like he goes when in the beginning of the movie, when the teacher catches him putting the tack on the seat with the video camera, and then she goes to him like, oh, you what's it called, everyone's special, Dash, and then Dash says, yeah, but then no one is. And then later on in the movie, Syndrome says that when everyone's super, no one will be. It's kind of the same thought process, just kind of mirrored. And then Dash continues, where he's a kid. He doesn't understand why superpowers are illegal and what that is and all of that. But I think that one of my other problems with banning superheroes and things like that across all media is that superheroes are not the same as vigilantes. Vigilantes, I get that the anti-vigilante laws, I understand. Because, if you look at, Arrow, anti-vigilante laws are on Arrow, prominently, all over the place. And I think part of the reason why it worked on Arrow is because on Arrow, they're not dealing with anything, with the exception of Damien Dark, that the police shouldn't be dealing with, or the feds shouldn't be dealing with, or someone else should be dealing with. It's not the job of a guy in a green hood to go around and stick an arrow in him to handle the problem. Conversely, that same thing doesn't quite carry over to, The Flash, Supergirl, even The Incredibles, the Marvel Universe, or anything like that, where it's superheroes are fundamentally dealing with an issue that the police can't handle. They're supervillains are essentially terrorists, but they can do the destruction themselves, and they are sometimes functionally indestructible. So you need someone like The Flash, you need a Supergirl, you need a Mr. Incredible, you need an Iron Man, you need someone like that to do it. And banning, it's not the same as the gun debate, where it's illegal criminals will still get guns even if they're illegal. If you get rid of if you say, okay, powers are illegal, you're number one, you're banning a certain subset of the population, and number two, you have a problem where it's like someone who's predisposed to using their powers for political, monetary, or personal gain is not going to stop doing that purely because it's illegal. Especially if they think they can get away with it. If they have a Becky Sharp who can just manipulate probability, something like that, it's functionally the same thing, where it's like they're not going to stop doing it just as a law says not to. And it's not like a proliferation thing where it's a lot of times people are born with the powers, or something happens and they can't control that they got powers, and they're like, well, let me just make the best of it now. So that's where this movie kind of has its big issue for me, is dealing with this thought that should superpowers be illegal? I think that Evelyn's entire character arc is kind of not confusing, but like convoluted and needlessly convoluted, where it's like you create Screenslaver doesn't actually do anything, they catch the fake guy who's doing Screenslaver, oh no, now she's enslaved Mrs. Incredible, or Elastigirl, oh no, now it's needlessly complex for no reason, and it didn't quite, like, watching the first Incredibles movie, I can watch that movie over and over and over again. This one felt like something didn't quite click. On the other side, we have Into the Spider-Verse, where everything fit into place. And we've been having people for years say, we can't have a Sinister Six movie work because with the amount of time we take to develop all the characters, and we need to show the same Spider-Man every time, and all this stuff. This movie proved that you can do all of that in the same movie. We've had two things this year with Spider-Man prove that you don't need to, you can jump right in with a Sinister Six. Between this and Spider-Man and because here you have Tombstone, Kingpin, Doc Ock, you have, who else was in it? Scorpion. I feel like there were more than that. Oh, Prowler. And there was one more who I forgot what it is. And the whole movie about a kid coming to terms with what his new status quo is going to be, and him trying to be a, trying to come into what it means to be a hero, and all of that. It's something that can be related to by anyone. And it's such a strong message, and message aside, cultural impact aside of having a young black Spider-Man, you also have the fact that he he has to come into his own in the same way Tom Holland has to come into his own in Homecoming, where it's like that scene of him where he loses the suit and he gotta lift a building off of himself is going to be is his seminal moment of him functionally becoming Spider-Man. Because, like, we saw him in Civil War, but he's kind of, just doing it, and he's in a situation where it's, more relaxed. But now here he is actually doing something on his own and not just stopping robbers on the street and stuff like that. He's actually, doing something major, and he's got to use the homemade suit to really come into his own, to build his own character. It's the same thing here with Miles Morales. He has to realize what's in him, overcome his own fear and everything like that, and truly become the Spider-Man that was killed earlier in the movie. And aside from all of that, if you can see all of that and be like, okay, that's good, but what else? On top of that, the movie is beautifully shot, which is something that The Incredibles doesn't have. One of the most jarring things about The Incredibles is the art style, because when it first came out, Pixar was in an earlier, phase. It was 2004, and all the characters had to be modeled independently, because they hadn't done a movie with humans as a dominant character. And when they had humans, it was Andy, Sid, Boo, Darla, the dentist, and then now The Incredibles is their first fully human movie. And the Owl. So this is their first fully human movie. So all the characters look unique. They all have their unique feel. But the problem is now they have an engine, Disney. They have a rendering engine, and they have pre-built characters and pre-built designs. So all the characters who are new have the same kind of facial design and facial formation and bone structure and all of that. But all the characters who are older from the first movie all look different. So they kind of stand out and it looks weird. It's especially noticeable in the scene with all the heroes when they sign the law legalizing heroes again. It's very jarring. But on the other side, for Into the Spider-Verse, it's so I've never seen a movie utilize the medium of a comic book in the way that this one does, and really pay homage to it. From the dot formations on the screen all over the place, the text boxes and all of that. It feels like you're watching a living comic book, and the color contrast and the use of music in the movie, and it's all around. Into the Spider-Verse is just a hands down better movie than The Incredibles 2. And I don't think I'm wrong to say that it's 100% going to win Best Animated Picture this year. And we'll wrap up there for today. So to finish up, we have tomorrow we have Black Panther, and then next week we have mid-90s Jonah Hill's directorial debut, which was not as good as I thought it was going to be. But we will wrap it up there for today. And on that note, have a good rest of your day.